stepping from the leadership failure that has governed that particular region. There's a differential leadership in Nigeria, even though Nigeria itself has a problem. But the problem of Boko Haram is a cumulative effect of leadership failure that has taken place. That's why all this. Look at even the students that were kidnapped. Do they look like students? Look at the classroom. We can't find that in the Southwest here because we had a leader who I was reading about one part of his book sometimes about 3 or 4 days ago, and he said when his other chaps are living in orgies and dance floor and all of that, and that is not to say that Oyewole was a perfect man. Instead, he sat at his table thinking about the problems of Nigeria. So for me, that our lack of capacity to interrogate our problems and emancipate ourselves from the basic vices that bedevil every man is worrisome. I think it's becoming some form of mental illness. Then the fixation of the masses to the cultural software that makes them to perpetually dwell and accept mediocrity may also be a form of mental illness. Because if a man who is supposed to be 20 years old is still fixated at what he was when he was 8 years old, then there's a problem. Because somebody who is 30 years and is wee-wee, he cannot control his bladder, and he's doing that when he's 28 years old, then you need to go and see a psychiatrist. And they used to believe it's a mental illness because there's a universality of human nature. Do you understand what I'm saying? But look at what we are having in Nigeria. They say it's military that is giving us problems. Okay, we go to democracy. Democracy did it for some time. They say it's not. Then, of course, we now got the democratic people again. And they are repeating the same thing. And the man who has been a soldier before is now wearing and he's still doing. And then, I don't know how. When you also listen to the media spokesperson, you wonder whether they're actually living here. Or the senators, when they debate. How a senate that says a particular defense ministers or the people in charge of security are not fit, they should sack them. And there are some people you recommend, then you will know that this schism, this culture, because there's a thin line with what we are calling a cultural fixation and mental illness. Because there's what we call culture ban syndromes, where some people are actually mentally ill, but they are not aware of it. But because the culture permits it, not until we get into shed light of diagnostic criteria, which is universal, to say, this thing that you're saying is your culture, it's mental illness, people will not know. So there's culture ban syndrome. So in a way, Mr. Convener, I think there's a degree of mental illness here. It's subtle. It starts by being self because there's a degree of selfishness that you have, and because mental illness. If you are selfish as a father of the house, and you don't want your wife to know that you are cooking food, you can begin to hide a pot of stew under your bed. You know that's mental illness. Or you don't have money. You say you don't have money, and you're going to hide money somewhere, maybe inside your house or something stupid, and they begin to find out that that is already hiding money, and inside your own house, your own money. There's a problem because our leaders, how they embezzle and the way they keep the money and what they use the money for is almost becoming unreasonable. I think a good number of them have been through these cycles for them to know that they don't need so much money if they are normal, and that it is better they do. Like when they died about a week or 2 weeks or whatever ago, I think some of them are hearing what people said about the man. Can't they begin to think that? But that inability to rouse themselves into self-transcendence may be a form of mental illness. The public too, the inability to interrogate a cultural software that is causing destruction, and we keep saying it is, or you belong to even religion. Thank God I'm a pastor. There are not beliefs. Do you know there's some pastors that say they want to ride as horse into the church, and you see some healthy, smart boys they rolling down their neck and then. Some people should be eating grass. We see the video, whether it's doctored or not, I don't know, but anything can just go in Africa. So I'm wondering why in Africans' brain do we lack the capacity to abstract? Somebody said we are intellectual consumers. We are not intellectual creators. Go to the university, all sorts of mediocrity there, professors. A lot of them are not creating anything. They are not in any way productive. Before you do any research, it must tally to what the man wants you to tally to. Not you are bringing something new. That's a problem. I'm talking about the university, every tower. So it's not just people in government. Go to church. Postings of pastors is heavily politicized, whether in the Pentecostal and the Orthodox. Why are we like that? Can't we just be reasonable and let normal principles prevail? Even if you can't get it 100%, can't you do some 60 or 70%? I don't know about churches have a very robust social welfare scheme for the poor. Is it difficult for us to locate the people who are poor? Why can't you give them scholarship in our faith-based institutions and let the rich pay for them?
Wow. Dr. Oyewole's connection, he will join again, but... Okay. Yes, sir.
We can use such money for other social welfare schemes and simply among them and be able to achieve it. So for me, I think it's a form of mental, it's becoming a form of mental illness, in my own opinion, because we don't seem to be insightful. Recent occurrences in the last 1 or 2 months show that I think it's tending towards mental illness. Because it's not everybody that laughs to himself that is mentally ill. It's not everybody that talks to himself that is mentally ill. When the thing becomes consistent and it's affecting your social functioning, then they bring it to me, say, this man is actually now sick. Mr. Commentator, this is what I think. I think there's some mental illness setting.
Okay, sir. Now that you've gone through that, quite a lot of those in the medical profession in Nigeria, and essentially those qualified professional psychiatrists in Nigeria, have called for a change in our laws such that everybody contesting for political offices in Nigeria, public offices, should undergo a mandatory psychiatric test or analysis. What is your position on that? Because
No, that's wrong.
okay,
That's why I went to study anthropology. There are some mental illness that is not immediately classified in a diagnostic criteria. And that's the type I'm talking about here. There's a movement in America, they call them the anti-psychiatrists. I would have been on that side, if not the fact that I'm not there. Because they accuse psychiatrists of just attention. Anybody who comes up with an idea that does not tie with conventions. If you use psychiatrists as a boss, we don't want that kind of an abuse. I think it's a form of mental illness that society should diagnose. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not given to psychiatrists, the society.
Itself.
Let me tell you, there are 3 criteria for mental illness. Any behavior that anybody is doing is manifesting and is causing distress to that individual. That's a strong criteria. Number 2, people related to you are being negatively affected, and the society is not benefiting from it.
Wow. This is very, very deep.
What the psychiatrist has, that's why our own profession is different from the cardiologist, who will put something on your chest and say, oh, your heartbeat is not malaria that you have, it is a typhoid. If it's not typhoid, it is this. For psychiatrists, we sit down. Society will now bring the person that this person is sick. Got this behavior. People know it says it's normal, it's affecting him, it's affecting us, and it's not in common, it's not in tandem with what the society expects. I think the committee may need to begin to make this diagnosis of mental illness, not psychiatrists. If it's psychiatrists, I will be looking for such cases so that I will also go and build my house in Lekki or Banana Island. People will convert it to that again. And in fact, that's not the kind of diagnosis we're waiting for. The society should get to a point. This thing we are seeing is bad. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not normal. We know it now. So that's the kind of mental illness. That's why it's difficult for us to collapse it into an established diagnostic category.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Wow. Now, sir, in fact, you've said quite a lot today, and I'm just trying to... Now, as part of this topic, we talked about the failure to satisfactorily self-govern. And we said we're going to... Of course, you've been doing justice to that, the social and anthropological angles to it. I'm just going to play a video, sir. And for me, this actually registered a lot. Not because quite a lot, you have a lot of all these celebrities, and they just quite a lot of jargons. They just bring it up, post some videos that are so ridiculous. But this one got me almost crying during the week. It is by Okebakasi McAnthony. I don't know if you've seen that video, but it's so deep. And I'm going to play it just so that everyone even those at home can actually be able to understand what we're saying in this wise. So it's just about 4 minutes, and then after that, I'm just going to give you the floor to try to explain what is really, really happening to us as a nation. So just if you just bear with me while we the technical team put that online.
Attention to a disturbing trend that I find in my beloved country. Not long ago, some of our service chiefs retired. But recently, the National Assembly have also confirmed some of them for further appointments. The same service chiefs who could not provide security, who retired to tell us that it will take us about 20 years for this country to fight or solve the security problem in the country. They've been confirmed for greater responsibility. All right, that is not my business. All right, let me also bring it to your attention that recently some clerics have been justifying why some bandits are doing what they are doing. Some governors have come to their defense to say, oh, why they should not be brought to justice, why they should be accommodated and even settled. Wow. Kidnapping has become the order of the day. These days, government agencies are in the business of settling even kidnappers. But my question is, when all this settlement of insurgents, kidnappers, even some militants have also been settled earlier, who is taking care of the Nigerian youth who has refused to go into violence? Who is taking care of them? I guess it's not my business. What do I know? I'm an ordinary comedian. But let me tell you, as an ordinary comedian, what I've been going through. So to do a successful show in Lagos as a comedian, I look for about 20 million naira. You pay venue, you pay event service providers, you employ maybe about 100 people, create jobs for them to have a successful show. And in the course of struggling to raise funds to do your successful show, some of the pastors will even discourage their congregation from coming. They will say, oh, it's a worldly event. The governor will not be in attendance because, oh, he's very busy. Then the media will not give you free publicity until you pay. So you spend all this money, you go through all this stress and create jobs for 100 other youths without people really coming to your aid. You just happen to goodwill and some of your friends. Now COVID-19 has been here for more than a year. Nobody is talking about this set of Nigerian entertainers, Nigerian youths who have chosen not to do violence, who have chosen to insecrate jobs for other people. Nobody's talking about how are they going to survive. No palliative, no kind of support. Now, how much does an AK-47 cost? If you Google it, maybe about 500,000 naira for an AK-47. So, let's say a comedian decides to take that 20 million and go searching for AK-47. At least he can afford 40 pieces of AK-47. Take some youths into one forest. Of course, abundance of forests all over Nigeria. Take 40 youths into the forest with AK-47 and begin to kidnap innocent people. Suddenly, the governor, who is very busy, can now shake your hands, snap picture with you, and defend why you should be settled by government because you have gone through a lot. Suddenly, government agencies will be rolling all over themselves over who to handle your ransom payment. Suddenly, the media will be giving you non-stop coverage. Suddenly, the pastors and their congregation will be praying for safety in the land. This is the country where we have found ourselves. God help Nigeria, but we must help ourselves.
Oh, wow. So you've seen that video, everybody, and it's just a sad reality. And if you check the analysis, that rather than getting 20 million, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Collins. Usually that is Collins Oyewole, so thank you so much. Mr. Collins, thanks for joining us. We'll be talking after the program. I just try to do the needful. I mute myself as well when other things are going on. So now that video it got me. Honestly, a lot of the forwarded videos, they just irritate. They're just a lot of junk. People just abuse the smartphones and data nowadays. You just record rubbish and send it around. But that was deep. A comedian, to do a show, they spend about 20 million. They to get the venue, security, everything, and they employ as many as 100 people at times in different areas, and then no support from anywhere, especially in these difficult times. Whereas a bandit, all you need to with that 20 million, and he said maybe an AK-47 rifle, assault rifle costs about 500,000. He just assumed that. So 500,000, you get 40. If my mathematics is correct, AK-47 rifles, share it out, get a group of bandits, and then when you start kidnapping people, when you go seizing people from their homes and from the road, you take them away. Government will now start looking for you. They will give you money to get those people back. Governors will shake your hands. You become very important. Are we sick as a nation? Because right now, it does appear that all the bandits, now we've been sowing the seeds forever. Now, all of them, the Zamfara one, the Kagara one, 2 in Niger State, those on the road, those in the school. It's just, what is happening to us as a people, Dr. Oyewole?
I think it's diagnosis. How do you explain that? Don't forget that some of the children, majority of the children of our leaders are not here. They're in Canada, in America, in the United Kingdom. They're stealing money here to buy properties there. So I think there's just a disconnect between them, and it's a basic sense of humanness. The cultural software. When they come back to the village, or they come back to our whatever with their SUVs, and they distribute the bid 5,000 or 10,000, then we see people also celebrate them. Our traditional rulers also, all in the name of let's keep the nation together, will not tell them the truth. They go to church, the pastors will not tell them. They go to the mosque people will not tell them the truth. They come to the university, they appoint the vice chancellor, who is also licking their boots, the lead and the leaders. Because that's what actually is going on here. They don't care. When any of their kids is going to travel abroad, the number of vehicles that follow them to the airport will be shocked as security cover. So it's some sickness, sir. The comedian got so serious that he wasn't doing any comedy. Because that thing he was saying was deeply analytical. No, because, he can make 20 million within 1 or 2 days. In a month, can't you see how much he's going to recoup his money back? So this thing looks like a business. Then why will it become a business? In a country where security is one of the most fundamental requirements and functions of leadership. And some people failed. You now recommended them for ambassadorial posts. Not just from appointment within Nigeria. Do you know what it means to be an ambassador? So these are issues that I think maybe when people in the house begin to talk, I also want to listen to them and see how they look at it.
Honestly,
it's not psychiatrists that will teach us, the masses.
Okay. You keep repeating that we're sick. I'll come back to you on that. You keep repeating that we're sick and it's mental sickness, but it's not psychiatrists that will treat that or examine that. And I'll come back to you on that. But we're just trying to do things differently on this program to give those who come online a bit more time to also partake. At this point, I'm going to. Our Secretary General has been putting. I'm happy we have Collins Oyewole with us. We'll be going to him at some point, but we've got a few. Let me first of all go to Comrade Shola Fayemi and Adeoye Oyewole. Comrade Shola Fayemi has put quite a lot of comments, so Can you unmute yourself, contribute, and let us have your contribution and the question you want to ask Dr. Oyewole so we can take it from there. Comrade Shalafayemi.
To confirm for us that Nigeria is actually a state. I cannot realize another issue that so see in our nation is just that we put mental consumer, like it said, instead of mental creators as leader. You know, I first took this from other developed countries of the world. Their leaders are people who are economists. Their leaders are people who actually to government to enhance the living standard. So the things guys are pure business people who look at the betterment and improve standard of living of the citizen. So that it's going to go and reverse through. But in our nation, the reverse is always the case. You know, it's very unfortunate to say we have leaders who are mentally greedy, like you said. They are greedy to understand that they don't even understand. They are beginning to engulf these resources, and they are now vomiting. Because if I'm not a great person, you know, when you're beginning to like 10 cars, when I'm beginning to billions of dollars, you know, stock up in a particular location, over time you put money in an account that you cannot even remember. It's so madness. Money that is enough to, you know, set up factories, money that is enough to, you know, emancipate the masses. For example, you know, I'm both said, for example, the home state, you know, he built a inside Barras in estate, cost billions of naira. That kind of money is enough to set up a factory in Ogun State that is going to, you know, accommodate 50, 100,000 people that are going to be working and be earning, you know, something from there. And at least across board, yeah, people want to prioritize the wealth and security of the people. And, you know, going to the issue of the recent application of the ambassadors, people who the National Assembly failed to ratify for security reasons and high-level incompetence are the same people prevented by accidents to register the interests of this nation. It shows a high-level madness prosper, either from the government, the people who are also elected to represent us at different parameters. You know, Nigeria is new set of people that they forget suffering, you know, in the TV. They forget suffering easily. These top leaders who have misrepresented their interests in the last couple of years will still come to us in the next couple of years, in the next 3-4 years, and give people token, and eventually we see Nigerians talking out for them, singing their praises. And these are set of people who go to religious houses, you know, and they force themselves to be Christians, they give them traditional titles, and they're going to be liberated by others. It shows high level of sickness, shows high level of mental degradation across board in our nation. And like I said, I narrowly escaped kidnapping last week Monday. I'm not Lagos Ibadan Expressway, just 2 kilometers before Ogere. We saw these guys, 5 masked Nigerians with AK-47 shooting panically in the sky, and they actually kidnapped, you know, a very peace-loving man. You know, out of a car, all baggages and belongings were left in a car, and they kidnapped this woman out of, you know, at the blue moon. This is beginning to become the day on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. That is tell everybody it is not even it's a long fast that are not safe. People are either not safe at home because people who are hungry can easily come to your house with knives and ammunition and take your properties. And likewise on the road, they are no longer safe. Security, which is expected to be the paramount purpose, significant role of government, is being abandoned, and people are not saying anything. We are in a where president turned deaf air, you know, turned good eyes to issues. With this, the where people do not even address issues the way they are expected to address. This boils down to the fact that we have mental issue as a nation. There are so many other things we can keep saying so many things, you know, about 20% India to the problem that we have leadership, either govern and the leaders, all of us all together need mental engineering for actually get right as a nation. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was deep. I'm just hearing this for the first time. So this has gotten to the Lagos Ibadan Expressway almost, and someone was kidnapped. You know, What time of day was that? I know it's not relevant because someone will be saying to me that what does it matter? What time of day was that?
People who are coming there, and immediately after the operation, what they did was they also put additional 3 cars, they shoot their tires to make sure tires be fitted. In case if people want to run after them, they shot this tire and they use these vehicles, these cars, to barricade that road, and they escaped the highway. And these people in the broad daylight, 7:10 a.m. last Monday along Lagos Ibadan Expressway.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, but let me not take the place of our speaker. And, so Dr. Oyewole, back to you, sir. Dr. Oyewole, just unmute yourself, sir. Okay, I'm just going to press something on your screen, and you should be able to unmute. Dr. Oyewole, just a moment. You should be able to unmute. Okay, let me go to Mr. Collins Onyeko. Thank God you're here today, and you've just heard what Comrade Sholafayemi has said in relation to where we are as a nation, and and the fact that even if we read some of the comments here as well, what we've got here. Kidnappers are now adopting retail form of kidnapping. I naturally, of course, he's already spoken about the. He said an average Nigerian is not safe either at home or on the road. We actually need mental re-engineering. Mr. Collins Onyeko, what do you have to say to this? Good evening.
Okay, listening on the conversation and equality thinking, I think this topic is what every adult Nigerian that still have ability to think. Those kind of thoughts go through our mind, whether you live in the country, live overseas, So over time, nobody pondered on the issue. Are we mad? What is our issue? I'm not a psychiatrist or I'm anywhere near have any special training on this aspect. So I would say I'm not just competent to profile, but just I'm an individual who is impacted and I've been wondering what is wrong with us. But like my conclusion, I won't say it's different. It's still aligned, but it's a little bit slightly on the other side of the coin to what we are thinking. Personally, my own personal conclusion is that we are not mad. I think so. But we are not aware. Okay, we might be mad, but we are not more mad than the other persons. There is this saying that there is every element of mental illness in every individual. It's just a matter of external factors triggers triggers them. So, which means as a way to there's a certain minimal threshold resident mental illness in all of us. All right. So, if we're in a normal sedated environment or there's external conditions, we will operate normally. But if those triggers external environment go to a certain point, it can trigger those mental illness. So, I think the issue with our Nigerian society today is that it's not that individually, collectively, amongst all of us, we have the normal, simple, small mental illness. But it seems that the issue now is that our external system is triggering those behaviors so that majority of us seems to be manifesting. All right? And so, for me, I think that if we're looking for solution, the solution space could be external than internal. Maybe changing that external environmental triggers so that to force every one of us to operate within an environment where the situation will not cause our mental illness trigger. What do I mean? And I'll use a simple illustration. this society, this method of the structural framework we run as our country is what causes the madness to see around us. And we can bring the best of individuals, and I think we'll still be the same results. If you bring what is the best police force in the world? Is it the UK police or the Swiss police? If you bring them and put them in Nigerian police system, I think they will collect a bribe from the 20 naira on the road, all right? Because if you just support that with the Swiss police, with our legal system, with our court system, something will happen. If you bring UK parliamentarians to Abuja, they will be going to the airport with the speaker and make the UK speaker of their UK parliament, making the Nigerian speaker with the Nigerian system. If he's going to the airport to catch a plane to go on an event that is meaningless overseas, he will go to the airport with a convoy of like 40 cars with one battalion of military men as escorts. He will shut down businesses, drive taxi men, shut down people who are going to school off the road just to go and catch a flight to an event that he could do via Zoom or that has no meaning. So I think that the structural framework in which you operate as a society allows for that. And why do I make bold to say this? I use that as an illustration to say that many of our government institutions, public institutions, official public institutions, are all set up in a way that is going to waste, and in a way that doesn't show that the purpose in which they were set up is to serve those around them. So it's kind of upside down. The horse is in front of the cart. To prove this, for me, I try to look at the typical market union. I come from the East, so naturally we are all traders in that part of the world. The market is one of the most organized. People see market as a chaos, but the market is one of the most organized places you can get in Nigerian society, and it's common equally here in Lagos currently. If you go to Alaba market, any of those markets, the market union, the market system, you think is chaos, but if you observe, there are perfect harmony. If there is 1,000 traders or 500 traders in any market, typical market in your community, if there are 500 traders, those 500 traders are known in the midst of those chaos to the market union. Their stores are known. Even if you lose property there, unless that the union doesn't want you to, the union sometimes they connive in stealing, in robbing you off. But if you lose property there, in that chaos, it is known. Every market person that sells in that market, an old woman, mid woman, young, old, they pay their stipend, the dues. They contribute to know that this amount of dues this is in the market is organized in lanes. Maybe you sell this kind of commodity in this lane, you sell this kind of. So in that society, they know which commodity may have is being sold with the highest margin. All right. So people pay proportionately. So for instance, if I'm selling gold is goes to the highest margin. Maybe there's 50% profit in gold, and someone who's selling pure water, there is 5% profit in pure water. So what they know. So the person who is selling gold, you might have the same size of sheet, maybe a market store where you see maybe 10 cm, 10 feet by 10 feet, but you're selling gold. You pay commensurately market fees, commensurate to your turnover, to whatever you do, and all that. And that money, they know why they use it to pay the gold for. There is, if you see within the markets, there is sanitation, but you see outside the markets, that's why they made it, because outside the market, by the market where many two of us work, it could be the roads. They do sanitation, they bring it out there, maybe to the kind of a boundary where the government ought to pick up the trash. But government does not work, but market work. All right? Even there might be no public nice latrine or sanitary system in the toilet. But within the market system, they will appoint this is a certain place. Traders go to ease themselves so that they don't do it haphazardly. Everybody goes there to do that. If you do it elsewhere, you'll be fined. Those laws are abided. Now, the market union is now who collect those levies. The people who pay those levies ensures that market union, that levy that has been collected, that guy is not using it to go and drink beer in the night. He's not using it to go and progressively make his own shade. Maybe put an AC in his own shade, or else to have fun, or to put solar panels. So it is accounted for. The leaders cannot surrender money for something. Once in a while they do it. That's why you see this also for leadership. Once in a while but when it's being done, you don't see somebody like we see in our public service now who dominate and eat our tax money, him and his small clique, all right? Without the consent of the followers. So my point is that because that market market union is clearly structured in a way that everybody is aware that the purpose of that market union is to serve the traders, pure and simple. That's why when governments check all the whole states, now once you want to remove the market, some governors will lose their office. You'll be amazed. You say, oh, this market is causing traffic, it's against pollution. The market is purely structured in a way that if you look at it in the larger scheme of society, that market is not supposed to be there. But you ask yourself, why can't governors take out that market? The moment you want to do that, that's against the selfish interest of all the traders, you see that they can even put down governments. Because their union, their structure is strong, and the union is being set up to know that they are purposely set up to serve the traders.
Absolutely.
That's why the traders equally pay to the union, and the union is powerful. So our government structure system, our public system, is not designed in a way that to serve us. That's why you have a minister of health who has never. Let me refer a typical case. In the first dispensation of this government, to have a minister of finance who has no economic interest in Nigeria. He's really, as long as I'm concerned, he's not a Nigerian. I rather want you to make a minister of finance to a Lebanese, a second generation Nigerian who is maybe his father migrated here. He's a Lebanese trader. He has a trader. Maybe there are people who are like that in Kano and other places. He is vested in the society, in the country, economically, financially. I rather want him to make a minister of finance so that he knows that he's out there to make policies so that that's his family business that is like 202 generations old in Nigeria. Keep on prospering. That you see me from nowhere, have no stake in the country, I don't earn here, I don't have accounts, that is the kind of structure we put in place. So that's why people tend not to know who do you serve. So you make me a minister of finance, I think that I'm serving the person who made me minister of finance. I need to communicate to him, I need to give report to him. And so our structure is upside down. So if you operate that structure, it will be a sin. That's why the so-called Minister of Finance, maybe though the way she was left office unceremoniously, made no impact, policies are not, she could not connect. So those of us who are looking at her will say, oh, this person is mad, what is she doing, But she owes us nothing. She doesn't understand our pain. She doesn't know that because she came to meet a system that said, oh, if he's traveling, maybe imagine now, okay, there's a equally similar case, maybe currently the who is celebrating World Trade Organization, maybe it is a public space, but I'm not part of yours, but so I could be a bit specific in my commentary.
Yeah.
When this lady was made, was a serving minister, part of her payment was paid in US dollars. She was recruited for US. Very intelligent, no doubt. But her intellect has no bearing to my common issues. So she's serving. So you can see her employment engagement and employment. You are serving in Nigeria, your employment in terms will involve first-class travel quarterly to see family overseas. A first-class ticket can paint a person at one primary school. Even in the way we cite our schools, some people will stay somewhere in a far, maybe 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, and decide where to cite schools in those communities are not connected. So when people who those schools were built for, we look at those who cited school and say these people are mad. Then those people who spend money to cite school in a far community, we say, oh, these people will start a school. What is happening in my community now? And they could not maintain it. The people that will get those schools are mad because our structure is upside down. So when we get to a structure that is homegrown, that is organic, that is living, that is regenerative, you could see that we'll start behaving normal, the way others behave. And why do I say so now? It's clear, like during the pandemic, when they say, oh, there will be no toilet road, you see the whites, the Igbo people were fighting for toilet road and were wondering what's wrong with this. So there's this oneness in everybody. But what triggers that is the system that we have subjected the individual to. So Nigerian society has been subjecting us to a very awkward system. Our institutions are being thrown to where they could not function. For instance, when people now tend to talk down on the traditional institution, yes, as they seem ageless, they seem without shame, they behave anyhow, but the environmental space that we have thrown that traditional system is upside down. So it seems that when they make their comments, it sounds like madness. So it's a chaos, no doubt. So to me, I think the solution space would be if we back to look at our structures to see how we can redesign our structures that serve to make that this focus on that structure to serve the individual self. Then when I think we can start seeing some semblance of maybe normal students like any other society. That's my view. I might be wrong, but
thank you so much, Mr. Oyewole. I particularly love that analysis I love the angle about the market traders and everything, because really that's like talking about a mini Nigeria, so to say, and also about the Minister of Finance. It's, and I love that. You said something about you rather a Lebanese who is a second generation immigrant who is, well, a naturalized Nigerian, and who's invested in the economy, who has a stake in what happens, who would actually suffer losses if the economy, went from bad to worse, than someone who, just parachuted in to do something, and whether it works or not, the person just go back to where they're based. I really must appreciate you on that. We're still coming back to you, Mr. Oyeoku. Let me go back to Dr. Oyewole. Senator Mercy, are you, at times I know she's not able to put in comments, but Dr. Oyewole, let us come back to you on this. You've listened to, you heard what Comrade Shola Fayemi said there, and what Mr. Collins Oyeoku has said as well. Now, how do you situate this? And let me pinpoint something. 2 days ago, the one of the aides of the Kano State governor actually said something reasonable, saying, well, if the government cannot, that the government has failed in its basic responsibility of securing lives and property, and look, if they cannot do it, they should just give way and let somebody else do it. Less than 24 hours later, we heard that DSS had arrested him. The DSS said, no, we don't have him in our custody. Next, the Kano State governor removed him, obviously, political expediency. And then another 6 hours later, confirmation that the DSS had arrested him. None of us was told that he did anything seditious or that he was involved in any crime. But then, and that's, when you put it within the context of what Mr. Collins Oyeoku just said about a finance minister coming from abroad, a Nigerian who was recruited from abroad being paid in US dollars, and then whether things go bad or good or worse, the person goes back to where they're coming from. How do you situate all of this, sir?
What Mr. Collins said is fantastic, and I can relate to it. But it comes down to the fact that doctors don't just get born. There is something that operates the structure.
Yes, sir.
There's a cultural software. Just like you can have hardware, computer, the best of it, Apple. You must put something inside of it to let you have the best. The capacity you're going to enjoy from your hardware, even though it's fantastic, is the quality of the culture, of the software.
Yes, sir.
What Mr. Collins has said just shows clearly that we have an elite class. They don't care they're not interested in competence. What they think about is totally different from what the masses are thinking about.
Absolutely.
And it's a grouping, it's a class, it's a group of persons. They have their interests. That man that made that statement, has anybody gone on the street to protest where they picked him? The masses. But he has offended the group that brought him up.
Absolutely.
Just like some of us are just speaking English here now. Somebody may join now who is a politician and having this. Those boys, just they're not serious. So for me, I still maintain the fact that we have a culture that reinforces selfishness over above other forms of discretion. And so it makes it easy not to make governance a serious business once it satisfies the clique. And they're always in the minority in terms of population, but they hold the resources. And two, it also shows there's a disconnect between the masses and the elite class. And so when they govern, they don't think about us primarily. I'm saying the amount of greed that the elite class put into consideration when they are planning is so enormous. That's why they cannot go do so well in their tenure. And they know that we are not that important. There is no mechanism through which we can make it difficult for them. we agitate a little, maybe they just distribute a little bit of some small money and all of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? To quell us, and then we keep quiet. For me, that explains it. That explains it. So until we begin to break that barrier, and I don't know how we, because from amongst us now, if a governor is hearing me, and maybe the governor of my state knows I'm this vocal, he will just give me an appointment. And once I get there, I will just delete your number, block your WhatsApp, block your mobile number, because I've also moved from amongst you to that class. Because you understand, they don't want to keep the class big. But once you are troublesome, or they say you're a real vocal, you can be used, they bring you in and they tell you this how it is. And they tell you, please chop and clean your mouth. So the dynamics between the rulers and the ruled, like we don't have a leadership culture, we have a rulership culture. A leader is one that begins to now say, okay, before we choose Minister of Finance, do you know that there was a lot of tussle between the political gladiators over the choice of that lady? Who should be the Minister of Finance? And some people actually even plan their own going. Even the one that came in again, I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying.
Yes,
it's all about the elite class. I don't know how we came about this. I mean, like Mr. Collins rightly said, yes, they also were struggling. This thing we're talking about, this greed, this tendency to want to cheat, is in every human being, like I started. But I don't know how they rose above it and saw that if we continue like this, it's going to destroy us. I expect some schism in the elite class, in the leadership, in the rulership class, to do this. Because it will be difficult for the masses to be able to do. If you're talking about the masses, and you keep talking about revolution, who will buy 80% for the revolution? Who will do the revolution? Do you understand what I'm saying? Even the banditry has the hands of these group members that are not part of the masses. They have their hands in it. For me, that's the problem. It is mental illness because even these people who are in this so-called privileged class should reflect that, okay, yes, my children cannot even stay in Nigeria again. Even those ones that are staying in Nigeria, I have to be using escorts to be pushing them up and down. Even when I also travel to, do you understand what I'm saying? They should begin to think that this is not how to live. Maybe when a good number of them think, then there could be some form of schism that would throw open the doors, and then we can begin to have something reasonable. So I can relate with what Mr. Collins said, but my explanation of it is still the elite class, the exclusive elite class who have their interest and they want that interest to be protected. And they don't want the masses to have any sense of contribution. As a matter of fact, they don't consider us when they are choosing. The parameters they use to choose ministers is totally different from what we think and be speaking about. It's oftentimes really not performance. It's about to recoup. It's about how they are.
And please, when you're at that place and you're shaking the spoons and everything, can you please close the door? I have a meeting going on there.
To make it easy for their children to come on board. So for me, sir, that's I think is that culture. The younger people are breaking those things, even though they've not been able to replace it with what it should be. But there should be some degree of attack on that structure that is nihilistic of the basic sense of human. So all human beings are greedy, all human beings want to embezzle and steal, but they are somewhere along the line, they saw that we cannot continue like this. And then they now created the kind of structure that Mr. Collins is talking about that will allow performance, that will allow the masses to be considered, and that will allow correct development. Even at that, they don't have it. I mean, you can see what happened in the US. You understand what I'm saying? But they have institutions. But here, because of our culture, individuals are bigger than institutions. It's cultural. When the leader is seen as a deity, have you ever been to see a governor before? You see some of their political appointees, the way they stoop down to talk to them, the body language. Nobody ever talks and criticizes the government when they are holding meetings. Because if you do that too much, you may lose your portfolio. And there are about 10 other hungry people at your back who are waiting to take down your post. So I don't know. It's like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. But for me, when they describe it, I just go back to my model and I say this is what explains it. It happens in the university too. It happens in the church. It happens in society meetings. Go to your village. You must be careful how you talk. Your mom will warn you. You understand? So I mean, the man that was arrested. What has happened to the boy now? May just be deprived of his office. And then he's sacked. And in another 1 or 2 years, he ends up in penury. He's not able to pay his children's school fees again. Maybe by now they've already replaced him. Some people are already justly who will replace. I mean, you don't understand. What we can do there, is it right for Gabide to say that, to not just sack him like that? But Gabide must sack him because so that we will not have trouble. So it all explains it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Oyewole, we've got a question of our social media page of the YouTube. There's quite a few compliments here. Good job, but okay, you're correct, Mr. Collins. Now we don't know which of the points, but I guess all the points Mr. Collins Oyeoku made. But now this is Dr. Oyewole. This says mental illness, but not to be treated by psychiatrists. Please explain this more, Dr. Oyewole.
When you have everybody who is mentally ill that is in the mental hospital. There are a huge number of persons who are mentally ill all over the place. They're in our government houses, they're in the National Assembly, they're in our universities, they're in our business world. They're mentally ill. Any behavior that an individual continues to elaborate and is causing distress to himself. Okay, our leaders also not causing distress to themselves now. So they can move around freely again. I'm telling you, a good number of them are scared. They're scared of the X-Men this thing too because you could actually be a victim. The question is, we have money for this. Why can't we make a difference? Number two, the people who are directly related to you are also not happy. A huge number of them, I'm telling you as we speak, their children are not here. Mr. Collins was talking about the Minister of not even having a shop here. The majority of the members of the family, immediate members of family of our frontline political leaders in this country, governors, senators, their children are not here, and their wives. They're either in the United Kingdom, in America, or Canada, living peacefully. They'll be killing the people, please keep quiet. Don't let them know you're married. Even they are, I don't know whether you're getting my point here. So, any behavior that is around that, that's why I feel that is a form of mental illness. Because you have an opportunity, you are enabled to make a difference, but you're not doing it. Maybe because of some selfishness. That's the illness. I don't know whether you get this. That's how we diagnose mental illness. If somebody's praying and the prayer is affecting you, and it's affecting your neighbor, it's affecting your children, it's affecting your work. You understand what I'm saying? Please bring the person to me, I'll treat him. So if they say they are
Dr. Oyewole, sorry, let me. So if you're saying if someone is praying and is affecting the neighbor, how do you? If you're, I'm saying this with all sense of seriousness because we're talking of, we're talking of. I'm going to mention some names. There are freedom fighters in Nigeria, but look, when you have people who are, when they're in government, their actions are never ever. I'm trying to find the best way of saying this because really it's about separating the message and the messenger. And I'm going to mention names, someone like, let's use Femi Fani-Kayode, Chief Fani-Kayode. Let's say someone like Dino Melaye. Now, if looking at the message, Femi Fani-Kayode has been one of the most strident oppositions to this government. And this government, by all standards, has failed Nigerians, especially in the area of security. Total failure, whether we like it or not. Now, Femi Fani-Kayode is someone who has stood up to this government one way or the other. Now, the issue now goes round. People like that, when they have been in government, they have actually served worst governments, quote and unquote, but minus that, in their own dealings, in their dealings with people around as well. Of course, all the videos of his dictatorial behavior, his abusive nature, all those have come up. Now, let's go to someone like, and I'm not, yes, I'm mentioning names there, but we're not necessarily limiting it to them because I'm just using, it's a microcosm and it's a representation of what happens in the larger society. Now, you have someone like Dino Melaye with primitive accumulation of and display of enunciating luxury in the midst of poverty, a lot of poverty in the land. And our people hail him as a savior. Don't forget the other time we talked about our people say, oh, we need leaders who can undo us with iron hand. Now, we hail people like this, and our people are already talking about, we wish we had people like Dino Melaye back in government, people like Chifemi Fanika back in government. These are people who do not tolerate dissent. They do not tolerate a contrary opinion. And so it just looks like Nigeria, because you're saying, you said something about our youths, they seem to have woken up and they get it now. But are we not, because all of a sudden we're open and we're already praying that they go back. So it's like we're recycling. PDP will go there. I hate to have to mention parties, because whether PDP or APC or Igu party or whatever, they're crooks in all of them and they are good people in all of them. So it's not a question of party. And when they are sharing our commonwealth, they do not see themselves as belonging to different parties. It is when that sharing is not going around that we hear the noises. Now, but we, the masses, we're the enablers of all these people. And that's why I gave the example of those two people and the cry from our people that we want them back in power. How can we, I don't know if it's a kind of Stockholm syndrome, maybe it's an element of it. How can we snap ourselves out of this? What is the way out? And what can we do as a nation?
I think the radical world and the Dino Melaye are just products of elitist schism. There's schism in that group. They are not part of us. They are not there's negotiation on, because Fanitu, we thought about it 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was moving around. We're not sure whether he's left PDP for APC, whether APC to PDP, not whether he's moving to APC. You see, it's a class. And once you already get there, there's a way they negotiate. Their negotiation has nothing in store for the masses. There's a disconnect. That's my own worry. Now, that disconnect is the problem. Who is going to create the connection that when somebody speaks among the masses, it will get to the people that are leading us, the voice. The masses don't have the voice. We are structured, according to Columnist, in such a way that the masses should not hear their voice. It's not the Oyibo man that brought it. It has been existing before the Oyibo man came. There's a way, they say, Kabiyesi, that's how they greet the Oba here. When I visited Collins, I saw the Eze, I even saw in Igbo land, they respected him, but not like even the way we Yorubas were doing that. I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying. When the Oba will look around and collect somebody's wife, how did you arrive at that? How did the Obas, before the Oyibo man came, arrive at the fact of electing a particular family to be buried alive, to carry the man's property along with him? Maybe they saw that guy is one person that could actually also become the king or give the incoming person some trouble. And the elite class chose that this is the family. I don't know how they get that. There's also the Osu caste system and all of that. So, I mean, look at the north too. Fulani taking over the Hausas, Fulani, all that kind of a thing. We have all of them in place to make sure that we do not have leadership, but rulership. The challenge for me is how can we fight this demon that is also in all of us? It's in my home. Am I allowing my children the opportunity to express themselves? Do I allow my wife, even though with a gender difference, to be able to make 1 or 2 points and align? In my place of work, do I allow the young ones to also criticize me? The people under me who are training under me to criticize me without their boss? I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying here. How well, some of my friends that I also have who are politicians, do I tell them a piece of my mind? How well do I do it? Am I not afraid that I may not be able to have opportunities from them when I need it? So for me, that's the issue. We must widen the space. We must we must expand the discourse. We must get to points at which we also tell them what we think people are saying. It's not all the time the NSAS movement come and begin to chase them up and down that they begin to realize that people are angry. So that's my own concern. And that's why I have this model. That model, each time I meet people, it just explains it. And what I'm waiting for is, I'm waiting for the miracle. But I don't think it's going to come from the masses. I don't know what is going to happen in the elite class, where we may have some of them have brainwaves or they are tired. Maybe that's how it happened in other societies. I said, please, enough is enough. William Wilberforce abolished slave trade, not because he didn't have slaves. He said, this is no longer normal. And he sponsored a bill and got people together and said, let's stop this thing. We have seen people do that. So for me, I don't know how many of us are close to these people, how much influence we have, how we can organize ourselves and influence and let the masses also speak, let the discourse continue, let them know there's a discontent, people are not happy. The state of the nation is bad now, and somebody is saying that they are picking one person who just said something that is the truth. And then immediately the government also sacked him. So what do we talk about? And nobody's on the street to protest him. I pity the poor wife and the children now, because unless he begs well, he may lose his livelihood or something, which people are always afraid of.
Absolutely.
So for me, that's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, go on.
In a way, maybe and with what Dr. just said on part of one of the ways to solve this is to expand the space and keep on our advocacy and awareness. And I think not to, whenever I participate in audiences where we'll have this kind of discourse, it always tends to go south in terms of the mood, and we think that we are not making progress, that is all good. I have, to me, it's always the other way, and I think it's getting better. The awareness, the talking, expanding the space, the challenge and advocacy, and I see the progressive progress that is, I will go on society. I think that it might sound strange that I don't live on X, but I think the society today is a bit much better than the way it was 10 years ago, the way it was 20 years ago. There is progressive progression. There's been progression. And I can say one or two things to markets, But one of the key commodities is that the awareness, creating awareness, advocacy, and even because the people who operate some of these models, maybe the so-called elites, the elites class. Most times, if you sample the opinion, everybody's complaining as if they are awareness that they are not there. They are the cause of these issues. Some are not fully aware. Somebody can easily say, "Oh, I met a system." I'll give a typical example. Maybe I see these illustrations whenever you put on the TV, read the news, even as you talk, everything. Common examples. There's two examples. Maybe one. The first I met Doc. I don't know if I'll give you an instruction about. Okay, my in-laws living in a university environment. What I was at. It's a illustration. If you go to a typical public university environment, you go to the office of the vice chancellor, consumes, apart from the salaries, that office alone, to run an office, it consumes more than 60 or 40% of the other free projects for the university, apart from salaries. Maybe after the university budget is 100 million, our salary is about, say, 50 million. Then the other 50 million, that's supposed to go to research, to improve the welfare of the school, build infrastructure, create install broadband, keep on improving the school. To run the office of the vice chancellor consumes that remaining 50%, the remainder of that costs almost 60% of that. Then the other 40% goes to professors to sustain them. So nothing goes to research or students. So there was a time I was going to a certain university. Maybe I was kind of having a personal relationship there. The whole professor was living in a certain quarter. And if you go to that quarter, at the end of that quarter, estate is the VC lounge. Every 6 months, a contract will be raised. That VC office will be painted.
Wow.
Sparkling neat, well maintained. There's almost 4 cars for the VC. All right. The other VC, the senior professors who live in the rest of the estate. Nobody thought that thing is strange. I asked myself, you pay the VC's lounge. The VC has 2 lounges. It's not better than a guest house. Nobody stays in the guest house. You pay it twice in a year. The other, something is still the same wrong. But the other 20, 25 houses in the estate, that belongs to the other professors. Nobody touched it. For more than 3, 4, 5 years, I was going there.
Wow.
So I keep on talking to not to take anything. All the whole 25 professors, senior professors in that school are waiting for the day they will become the VC. So that they will step into that system to say, okay, it's available to you. You paint your warehouse twice in a year and paint your guest house. Like it's almost a palace. Most times people visit you, I said, this is wrong. That money is supposed to paint your own quarters, maybe once in every 5 years. Then the other balance for research, people don't want to stop it because they are waiting for when they will join to become everybody wants to be a VC. And it's turn by turn. They keep when the network is okay, it won't be more than 2 terms for 4 years. Okay, if you're more than, they keep on changing the law so that to make sure that the office of that opportunity to be VC goes round. Not because you go and impact university, but so that they can start enjoy the perks. So when I started engaging one of the senior professors, actually it was my father-in-law. Because I came from I was working in the private sector. I said, oh, Prof, this thing is a bit strange. That even when you travel on visits, your ESTA code, you're supposed to retire it. They look at ESTA code as benefit for service, maybe as income. After having those talks, later I know that some of these discussions start having an impact on the guy, and when he became his time to become a deputy vice chancellor, one of the things he did was to jump off some of these official vehicles. But my point is that, advocacy helps. There's something you see in our public space many years ago when at our first 1999 democracy space. To me, that was the best democracy experience in the recent time. But there's some behaviors you see the parliamentarians do, all right, which now they don't do it with finish in your face. They had to do so. That space, we need to keep on advocating and saying that things are wrong, that this thing that looks normal is not normal. That is one aspect of the equation. The other aspect of the equation, we truly have to, I don't know how it's going to happen, fight, advocate, to change the model in which we operate, not our governance system, but all the systems, even from our home, from our offices, we need to change that. It's fundamental questions that this individual self asks. Like if you actually to embark on a journey, take a career or take a vocation, join a church or join a religion, one of the fundamental questions I ask everybody asks himself, what is in it for me? What's the benefit? What sustainable is it? How does it harm me? So the whys of society, we need to change our models so that the models will run as society answers the whys.
Absolutely.
But for now, our models will run maybe inheriting a colonial system that the society is meant to serve the elites. Not that people aspire to be elites so that they can serve society. So until we change that system, many things we see will seem like it's a mad scenario, it's a meta scenario by those who are exhibiting it. But those who are exhibiting it will feel, oh, why should that kind of stuff. So advocacy is one, the quest to change the system so that the elites is meant to serve us and not us to serve. One of the pictures that broke my heart, the one that happened in Niger State. The kids were abducted. Thank God they have been released. But it's not just that. Yeah, I know that maybe we're getting used to bad news. But one of the two stories now. Look at the picture of that school. It's crazy. No matter when it was issued. And this guy came the office of the Commissioner of Education. Commissioner of Education. That thing came to my mind again. I'm sure once he's appointed a commissioner, the first thing he wants to do, what is my status card? His office, every government office you see now, this new agronomic seats, you could see that our government offices have, in the last 5 years, have been kind of refurbished. Modern furnitures are in those offices. But you look at the school, that school hasn't seen a paint in 40 years. The beds that are the double bunk beds that I used when I was secondary school, how many years ago, one of those kids broken down. But if you go to the Commissioner of Education's office, you see the relative modern office equipment, office furniture, that's similar to anywhere in the world. But you see that what that shows you that the office of the Commissioner of Education does not see itself that it is there. It's created to serve that school system. But the school system is set up so that a budget could be created for the office of the Commissioner of Education. And everybody in that school system now, all the whole principal, vice principal, anybody who enters the school system will see that, let's preserve what is happening now, so let us go and fight for who will become commissioner so that I can enjoy the effects of this. Or the other way around, to say that if I'm employed as a teacher today, the commissioner is to serve me, is this for my welfare, to see that have I been paid, have I been trained, do I have the right skills to teach my kids? Until we start getting that partnership and forcing that, just like the local markets, the office of the market leader is set up to serve the traders. for whatever their selfish interest. Most times, the trader's selfish interest might be anti-society, but that system works. So we need to start changing our governance system, our value system, our cultural system, to ensure that the way it was in the old time, they can't basically serve the communities. To defend them, protect them. If there is a pandemic which the society cannot explain, they say the KBC regime is not correct. Even the KBC will be forced to commit suicide, he does that. Because he sees himself, he's there to serve the community. But now, it's the other way around. When this vaccine comes to Nigeria next Tuesday, as a promise, you see those who will take the vaccines, after the people in Asura will take it to start moving out. The generals will take it, the ministers will take it. You know, but because they don't see our society is upside down, that's one of the keys. So until we get the structure right, there will always be madness. You know, so advocacy and so that people will know that things are wrong, and finding a way to create a structure that serves the purpose where it's set up. Until that's done, it will going to be difficult. But the more we make this advocacy, have this kind of forums, people share ideas, and people start introspecting, challenging themselves. This thing I'm doing, is it right? What is the purpose of this? What is this? You know, you employ somebody and you pay the person below minimum wage. You ask yourself, so the person accepted. But you know the person cannot. Why do you need that? You say people that job doesn't exist. It's like that job should not be created. Even people you see people in the private space, you employ somebody, you say you pay the person 10,000 naira, you say the person is looking for work. You can't, in your good conscience, do that. Know that it's also what you do. That service, either you drive yourself, or you clean your laundry yourself, or if you want somebody to do that, then pay living wage, or minimum living wage, or pay, let the person do part time in a way. You know, that's the kind of challenge, because I posed that same challenge to myself, and I opened challenge ourselves. Those kind of challenges help to shift paradigm society, and it might look like a road to nowhere, but when someone look back, we know that we're making progress. There are some ways that 10 years ago it would be normal that maybe if you see on 20 news or 20 years ago, a minister will snap his driver or her driver. I'm sure now, if he does it now, it will be society will find it strange. But 10 years ago, something will not. So those advocacy is gradual. That's my point. It's gradually making progress. So any little helps. You know, those kind of things can be able to shift the paradigm and the mindset in our society. Right?
Wow. It is the more we talk about this challenge, the more we just realize that, look, there's more to talk about, honestly. I'm going to, because there are a few questions here directed at Dr. Oyewole, which I want him to answer. But I want to give, I'm going to go to, I've got Anolika Eberechi here. I don't know if you have a question or a comment. I've got Tolu Daramola, I've got Olu Messi, and I've got Sheung as well. So let's start with Sheung. Sheung, have you got a question or comment? Just Sheung Olabinton.
No, sir. No comment or question for now. I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining as usual. Senator Messi. Senator Messi, have you got a question or comments? Even though I believe that you won't be able to talk where you are right now. And now, Tolu Daramola, do you want to contribute to this?
No, not really. I'm just following.
Okay. It's really very enthralling anyway. And Comrade Richards Jimo, before I go to Shola Fayemi, Comrade Richards Jimo, do you have a comment on this or question? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to you, Shola Fayemi. Looking at it from your experience, and where we, the bad experience you had on Monday, and if I may share this, permit me to share this again. Mr. Collins Oyoko and Dr. Oyewole, we had a webinar once, and one of our friends, one of the members, a banker, actually said that it's gotten so bad that Yahoo, fathers and mothers come to the bank to say they want a loan. And when you say, what do they want the loan for? A facility or a short-term loan, whatever it is. And when you say, what do they want it for? They say, well, they want to use it to buy computers, laptops for their kids, so that the kids can enroll in Yahoo University, Yahoo training. They actually come to the bank and they actually say that, the question is, what right have we got as a nation, as a people, to actually demand good leadership? If those of us who are the citizens, if we're behaving this way, and there's no dignity, there's no sanity. I wanted to note that as question one, but I'll go to Comrade Shola Fayemi first. Comrade Shola Fayemi.
Yes, thank you so much for coming out. Like we've been discussing over time, a major problem as a nation is fundamental and structural, which has also transcended to what we call the mental issue. Because the structure in which we operate as a nation is dysfunctional to an extent that even when citizens keep complaining about laxity, about ineptitude of leaders, the leaders feel less concerned about it. There's like a vertical attitude to prioritizing the needs and welfare of the people. And it's unfortunate we are in a nation where leaders don't see themselves as being accountable to the people they are governing. Where people don't see urgency to responding to issues that have to do with life and security. There are cases of kidnapping, there are cases of broad daylight robbery, there are different cases of insecurity, but as governors and presidents, we always keep mute until when people started agitating. It is quite unfortunate that people will have to agitate for the leader to speak for reasons why they were being put in a position of leadership. It is so sad, and that is why people are saying that the way in which our structure is, our system is structured, is actually giving room for this leader to take advantage of the people that they are governing. It is sad because we always say, like the experience I shared on Monday, people on daily basis keep playing the same role. With faith, with them praying to God, God should salvage them, God protects them. And it is so bad and unfortunate that people always abrogating responsibility that are expected to be met by mankind to God. God has given us leaders, God has given us enough human and natural resources, catering for the needs of the people. But we still resort back to God because our leaders have failed us in one or two little occasions. And this is becoming the order of the day. Kids can no longer go to school. There are tendencies that if they go to school and they are way other coming from the school, they might kidnap them. We have some schools in Southwestern states. We said parents, where they are not allowing school bus to be bringing this bus to school. They want parents to be coming to the school themselves to pick up their work. And it's the normality. And why? The reason is just because of the security threat, the security issues that is ravaging in our nation. But it's quite very, very sad that our leaders are folding their hands. They're not seeing anything bad in this kind of security. They are not taking the security of the people with almost parity. Students are being kidnapped. Some are saying it's a statement scenario. It's a statement occurrence. Because in a situation where they were being kidnapped and government have to pay ransom, and at the same time, this government come back to tell you they are not paying ransom. So they are indirectly or directly, they are now patronizing, they're not making this kidnapping and insecurity, a very profitable venture for these guys that are doing it. It is unfortunate that we kidnap 300, 400 people, and government will find it difficult just to pin somebody responsible for this act. But in a nation with some religious leaders, we go and negotiate freedom of people with terrorists, and government fold their arms, not taking action. Is it that these guys are too difficult to be arrested? Is it that these guys are too difficult to be curtailed? These so many questions are running in the mind of Nigerians, and these are what that our hope in this nation. I can tell you for free, and every Nigerian does not believe in the betterment of this nation. It is not seen in this country, but we will continue to do our best to reorientate them. We continue.
Thank you so much. I think his connection timed out. I'm just going to go to Dr. Oyewole, and of course the questions and all the comments that we've got there, they're quite a lot. But in addition to what Comrade Shola Fayemi has just spoken about, so I leave it to you, Dr. Adeoye Oyewole. Over to you, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir. Dr. Oyewole. Okay. Yes, sir.
I think something must come from the leadership. People have been talking about followership. And I said, yes, the followers also need to get some things right. However, if the followers are supposed to get it right, then there's no need for leadership. There is no society that has ever made it without a strong leadership. No family becomes better if you want to break generational patterns. Somebody somewhere must have to start as if, please, this thing will not going to continue. You can go to the mountain and be praying, and be praying, and be praying, and be praying, and be praying. If you don't take decisive steps and come up with something, because we have highlighted a lot of issues here. You can imagine if a governor chooses to be different. You can imagine if we have somebody in Nassau that says, please, I can see the pattern. I have made up my mind that this is going to be different. And I want to generate resources, both at the level of my own government and all the other states, to be able to let us genuinely break the shape. That's why we vote them in. Except something comes from the leadership, from what I've read about societies that have made it. Revolution that people talk about, this violent whatever that people talk about, our culture does not permit it because there's something a little indolent about our capacity to take on our leaders. Like I've said, it's almost generational. You don't take on the leader because the leader is a deity. But if the deity of a leader chooses to be magnanimous, to be benevolent, then of course, I think we're going to get it. If you don't have, like Colin said, I'm not too hopeless. I feel that a good number of, there's some level of awareness, but I pray this awareness gets to that elite class where they will choose to say that things don't have to continue the way it has been. Except that happens, then of course, we will continue in this vicious cycle. Because I've not seen much difference. The young people say they want to lead. They bring the young people even are behaving like comedians in the government house. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's about the proper understanding of our problem, our institutions. We talk about structures, we talk about models. All these things are engineered by some form of unconscious software that governs our lives. What makes all of us keep quiet, even when bad things are happening, when they see people will be shouting and everybody just crying like nothing is happening, is something that we have learned over the years. It's not just now. And then they scapegoat. The leaders know that when they scapegoat and pick somebody, it's a warning. They may not even do anything to that boy, that man that is picked in the cargo. But you know, when you want to repress people, you scapegoat. And then you warn others. So whoever wants to talk again will keep quiet. So it's difficult to get the majority of the people to say the things you are also trying to say. I don't know whether you're getting my point.
Absolutely, sir.
So it's difficult. Unless we get it at that level. Because that was one of the reasons why they keep bringing. In fact, somebody was angry with me that, are we not sick? Why are we trying to bring Jonathan Goodluck back again? Do you understand?
Oh, I'm happy you're time because that's the question, Dr. Oyewole, and that's Anulika Eberechi. Dr. Oyewole, and Nigerians not sick. Why are they even thinking of bringing Goodluck?
By saying that Jonathan Goodluck will come again. That's the culture I'm talking about. I'm not talking of the peculiar specific cultures. You understand?
Yes, sir.
The software that makes us to be indolent and docile, that does not want us to interrogate the status quo against certain parameters that are universal, is the problem. Because what will ever mean that a Jonathan is coming back again and he's also saying, no, it's not coming, it's not correct. Although, because we are humans, and the system, the way it operates, everywhere in the world has its own weaknesses here and there. Because like at times, like I also say, that how will a father be a president and the son also become the president of a nation? That's one of the best democracies of the world. I mean, America. Yeah. Somebody husband has been president, and it's also by whiskers that the wife didn't even become the president. So the players know, but they have institutions that have grown. They have leaders who have empowered institutions to also check tendencies in them that could abuse the processes. So for me, I think it's the invention of the leadership that can save us. And maybe the more we talk, the more we pressurize, the more we advocate, they get more aware that it's not going to be business as usual. I also know that the next election is not going to be as easy as it used to be, because a lot of issues have been thrown up. The NSAS movement, the post-COVID issues, this security and insecurity issues coming up. A lot of people are speaking, and people are actually, trying to contest. So I hope that because people are also more aware now, more people have voters cards than before. We've seen a few places where the will of the people could not be subverted here and there. And then we're having a few governors who are also behaving like at least they are thinking and they are trying to make a difference. So for me, I wouldn't lose hope, but it may not be as drastic. It's not going to be as fast as we may assume it to be. But definitely, we're going to get better.
Dr. Oyewole, I know time is of the essence. Our time is virtually up. We'll probably just take about 10 more minutes and just not go over that. How I wish we could actually interrogate Mr. Collins Onyeoku more on some of his views. Some of the last, but we're going to bring him back. We're going to bring him in by God's grace, because we really need to speak with him. We need to dig deep into his mind and ask a few questions. Now, Dr. Oyewole, two questions of, there's quite a lot going on, and there's another question on Facebook, but I don't know how many we can really take. Our time is virtually gone. Yes, sir. We will do that. Even there's some questions for you as well. Of course, we know we will bring you back. We know you still come back at some point. Now, you've been talking about this cultural theory, and you've talked about the cultural software. A software can be loaded onto a hardware. It can be updated. It can be formatted. It can be removed. It can be reinstalled. How can that apply to the average Nigerian mind? Because in light of the failure to self-govern, that inability to successfully self-govern is a failure of that software that has been loaded onto the hardware. For example, someone wrote here, in Nigeria, and this from Facebook, in Nigeria, an innocent citizen will drive 10 kilometers alone and meet 10 checkpoints. Bandits drive 100 kilometers with 300 children, no checkpoints. There's something not quite right somewhere, and that's why I'm asking this question about using the analogy of the software and the hardware. So if the wrong software has been loaded into the Nigerian hardware, those of us who are citizens and of course the leaders, what do we need? What does Nigeria need? Will an update be sufficient to cure the defect? Or would it have to be removed and a new software reloaded? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, what we can do, education is very important, although the universities are failing on this mandate. The ivory tower, just like Mr. Collins said, he engaged the senior professor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Some of our colleagues there. You need to go to an average student meeting and see issues that people bring on board. You will know that there's a lot of problems there. However, the academic space is one place where ideas are formulated, where existing issues are interrogated, even academically and in a research form. Such things can help, because most of our politicians have not been able to govern alone without use of, without recruiting brought in from the elite class. So if people have learned, even in the university, this kind of discussion we're talking about, if it takes place continuously in the university, and young people are also brought in that begin to cultivate this, so wherever they are, they can be change agents. Apart from that is religion. Boko Haram leverages on some form of scripture, even though they misuse the scripture. The question is, how much of advocacy are some of our Muslim brothers who know the right scriptures to counteract, because no knowledge is power. Oftentimes when somebody is spreading a rumor, when you have the authentic and you also spread it, it will diffuse and crush that rumor. How much of re-education is going on in the north? Because it's not so much about trying to kill those people, it's also trying to also re-educate, because the recruitment is going on. I learned that there's a lot of money that they give them. Apart from the money, they're also told religiously that when you die for fighting for something like that, you're going to be entitled to a certain number of virgins in heaven or something. Now look at our prosperity message. Our prosperity message has also made it difficult for me as a Christian to be a member of a church who believes in prosperity, to be a commissioner and not come home with about 3 or 4 SUVs and not have about 4 or 5 properties somewhere. I'm under pressure. Even my pastor puts me under pressure. The question is how much of the interrogation of some of these things is going on? Because a man who will go into power in Nigeria and will not steal must have an awareness that God is his sufficiency. Because you must also be a bit mad when you go to power and you don't steal in Nigeria. That's actually how bad it is here. So you must have something on this side of you that you have cultivated. Young people are not being told how they can live with contentment and enjoy it. We grew up to see our fathers like that. One house in the village, one house in the city, 1 or 2 cars, and they are contented. Now, not only have 20 houses, people don't even know how to live contentedly again. Religion is another institution. Education is an institution. Then, of course, our social clubs. How well are we deploying programs that is going to help younger minds to sharpen them? Go to Rotary, go to Lions Club, or what do you call it? What kind of activities is actually going on there? Do you understand what I'm saying? Which kind of people are we giving our awards to? Look at our traditional institutions. Is it not politicians who go to Abuja to go and steal? That will now begin the Yoruba now. They will say, that means the choice son. We all know the man has gone to steal. So if you go home and say you're a professor, they say your Igbo is too much. How much money did you bring to home? Even the traditional institution does not even recognize the contribution of scholarship again. Or people who are people who want to contribute and they are sincere and they want to help the society by bringing people together and selling ideas. That's how bad we have some. But all hope is not lost. So for me, I think this is how we can go. All the institutions should be empowered again. No human being owns the institution. Our leaders are not the one that owns the institutions. We human beings are also members of those institutions. Why don't we begin to also re-engineer, like Comrade Fayemi talked about, those institutions by selling ideas to them? So for me, I think this is just one of the ways in which we can actually get out of this rut.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyewole. Because of our time, I'm really, really worried that we've not even scratched the top. And that's a familiar theme on this program. We've got 2 hours and we try to go deep in so many things, take questions, take contributions. Time is never enough. Dr. Oyewole, because we want you to take us deeper into this theory, and I'm hoping that we can bring you back in the next within the next 6 weeks or thereabout. I know our calendar is fully filled till the end of March, but I am believing that we should be able to bring you back subject to your availability, sir. But it would be unfair not to. I saw 2 very interesting points here from Anulika. The first one is, Dr. Oyewole, when are you coming back? Let me assure you, Anulika, that Dr. Oyewole is one of our, you can call him one of the leaders of Plight. You can just say that. Because he's been there for us in so many ways. So we thank you so much, sir. So we know Dr. Oyewole will be back sometime. He's a very, very busy man. He's also a clergy, and at times there are times he goes to run revivals as well. And it was very significant that he made that point of some pastors, quote and unquote, because it should not be a title. It should actually be what you do that makes you a pastor, not what you call yourself, who want to be carried into the church, who are riding like a horse on the back of their members. I've seen some of them even preaching on members who actually, go down on all fours. It's part of the mental illness of the typical Nigerian. And I know these are some of the things I want us to, if someone like you is saying it, then it's quite easier because typically when things like this come up, then people say, you know what, he's just speaking against our religion. He's someone who does not believe God. But if someone who actually actually has the pulpit, and who is known, at least someone who is known by those of us who know him very well, to live the life of someone who you can actually look up to. If we have people like that discussing it, then it becomes a lot easier for the argument to be taken out there. So, Dr. Oyewole, Anolika, to answer your question, Dr. Oyewole will be coming back very, very soon as we can make out time in his calendar and our own calendar. Now, Mr. Collins Onyeko, I would love to take you up on this, but because we need to be shutting down right now, we were thinking of another topic entirely, but it looks like this has come, and we also have something like this on. I don't know whether there are people who know you or people who just from what you've said, or I don't know, or from your name. We've got something like this on YouTube as well. It said, Mr. Collins, please, how can we solve the problem of our useless governors in the Southeast? Sorry, that's not my language. That's the language of, those are the words of the person who has a question, Anulika. How can we solve the problem of our useless governors in the Southeast? See what Okorocha did with stealing, quote and unquote, alleged here, and the Eastern Palm University. Just in closing, Mr. Collins Oyewole, in 2 minutes, is it possible to or you know what, I think we'll leave this for the next time you come around. But Dr. Oyewole, just in 2 minutes before our Sergeant gives the vote of thanks, this question that was asked to Mr. Collins Onyeko, the problems of our governors, how do you solve the problem of our governors and the useless governors in the Southeast? See what Okorocha did with his stealing and Eastern Palm University, all those things. In 2 minutes, Dr. Oyewole, what would you say?
Okorocha possibly is not doing the whims and the caprices of the past that be at the center again, and they brought up with him to deal with him. But once he negotiates and then calms down, they will get him sorted out. It's not the first time people are stealing government money and appropriating it. He will not be the last. Until something is done, majority of the amount of money that our former leaders are parading is ill-gotten, and it's all over the place. So it's the way the system works. They will sort it out amongst themselves, and it's unfortunate the masses are the losers in the final analysis.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. I want to thank all of you who have joined us today. You would have, I want to thank those who joined us on YouTube. And they've been it's been very engaging on YouTube and also on Facebook as well. We're hoping that very soon we'll be streaming simultaneously to Instagram as well. By the grace of God, hopefully within the next 1 or 2 weeks. So 3 channels all at once. Thank you, those of you who join us all the time, all the comments, even during the week. We really, really want to appreciate it. And of course, today is the first time I'm doing this with the plaid t-shirts, cap and everything on. I want to thank Comrade Shola Fayemi, our Sergeant, and Bukola Adeyemi for helping us to to put all this together. It's really, really fantastic. I love the look of it, and we've got quite a few good comments on Facebook. Now, the question I can answer is that question is can people who are not members get it? I do not know the answer to that question just right away, but really. I know for now that members can actually get it. I've a cap and a T-shirt and everything, but it's hopefully next week we can say something about this. Now, for those who are just so you can know, you want to watch us. If you go on YouTube, it's just Plied God, Plide, then GAHRD, 2 words, Plied God, GAHRD. And it's the same name we use on Facebook as well, and on Instagram as well. So if you just go there, you can. All these are live. You can actually follow us live, and some of the old videos are also there. Things are improving all the time, and we give God all the glory. I want to thank everybody who has joined us on the in-house panel. It's been so exciting having you, our comrade Adeoye Oyewole. We've got Oluwaseun Binton, Senator Olumesi, Daramola Toluwalope, and of course, Anulika Eberechi, Mr. Collins Onyeoku, and of course, powerful Secretary General, Comrade Shola Fayemi. Oluwaseun, were you trying to say something? Oluwaseun Olabinton, were you trying to say something? Okay, we just call on our secretary. Oh, okay, thank you so much. Okay, now we call on our Secretary General to do the vote of thanks, and then we call it a night. Comrade Shola Fayemi. Comrade Shola Fayemi.
And to analyze issues, taking nations, the need for, and most importantly, the need for the leaders going to have mental health. We sincerely appreciate you, sir, and thank you for standing there for all of it. I want to sincerely appreciate our audience, people who have joined us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, people have joined us on YouTube. We sincerely appreciate you. And we appreciate your commitment at all times. And at the same time, I want to appreciate all the in-house panel, some members who have always taken it upon them to join us on this weekend. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Appreciate you. Very fantastic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyewole. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish everybody on social media a fantastic week ahead. God bless you. See you again, same time. Dr. Oyewole, you are going to say a word? Okay.
I'm always ready to come on board because it's quite refreshing.
So
Hearing
much.
other people talk about the same problem
Thank you so much.
the same night. So thanks for the opportunity. And please keep on the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. We really, really appreciate you. And we're not mindful of your comment from last week's edition where we had Honorable Desmond Elliott. A lot of questions came from that. Honorable Desmond Elliott is more than happy to come back, and all we need to do is just agree a date. And so I want to apologize so that if it's not like we're not attending to all those, but we're going to leave them till when he comes back next. And by the grace of God, we're looking to bring him back in April. Have a fantastic week, everybody. See you same time next week, Sunday, at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, 5 p.m. UK time. God bless you.